So I'm going to take a perimeter approach around the theme of this, or the topic of this video, regarding the spirituality aspect of dual mission. So, you know, you hear a lot, we're on our own journey, or this person or that person entitled their opinion. You can go a lot, across the board, from religion to scientists. It doesn't matter the field, but there is a common denominator, common thread that links all of what I'm going to bring back to the center about a dual type mission, or about the human experience. Um, so let's start with a cliche, anagram, irony, paradox, nursery rhymes. All the answers lie there. It's just a matter of being able to connect the dots to bring the picture into focus, the understanding, the clarity, and to be able to um, see yourself. So, um, one man's trash is another man's treasure. What does that actually mean? Well, let's take um, all um, materialistic or external or physical aspects out of it, and let's move inside. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Number one, when we talk about man in this context, it's human, male, and female. Both are male. Um, as there is always an above and always a below in regards to movement. We are ascending or descending. There's only two directions to go. And this cliche, um, one man's trash is another man's treasure, is about how we approach communication with each other, whether it be family, friends, whether it be a stranger, whether it be ourselves, in the creation of selves, the contradiction. So, for most of my life, I was very confused as to um, competition. So in baseball, playing from 5 to 22, I had the approach of a do or die. Winning was the only thing I cared about. Or playing was really what it was. But when I played, it was to win, and I would do anything. Um, in that sense, I was a leadoff hitter. A leadoff hitter that was a utility player and could play all positions very well. Um, and as a leadoff hitter, abnormally, going through high school, we played 100 games a year in between the high school season and the American Legion. So one of my nicknames was Dots, which was because I was always black and blue, and it was a pretty much a guarantee that if we were down in the last inning and I was coming up leading off the eighth or ninth inning, then I was getting dosed. Didn't matter what it was. I mean, I just got dosed. I got up on the plate, got to first base. So now, in relation to the human experience, pain, okay, we call the expansion of energy, which is just a expansion. So it goes love, hate, love, hate, love, hate. Because it's the contradiction. It has to contradict itself. This is what betrayal is about. This is why the greatest demonstration of loving somebody is to let them be what they need to be, whether that's within your experience or not, in any way, shape, or form, in flowing with that and not fighting against it, which our humanity does not know that yet, because that is how we find ourselves. That's the irony, that's the cliche, that's the paradox, in that we have to be able to have loved and lost to know what love is, to expand, to hate, the rage, the sins. We have to have the experience in order to then be able to create the friction, create the energetic aspect in which our bodies hold the home. Home sweet home is the heart. The heart is the first thing that develops in the embryo. Then it grows. It comes out the birth canal. Cries. There's another clue. perhaps the greatest or the most concentrated, energetic spiritual practice is to cry. This is demonstrated by each baby born, human baby born, crying. Then we are taught, we've been taught on purpose, our purpose is to feel. And once you understand the baseline fundamental um, foundation of what the human experience is about in the creation, the co-creation of which the reason we are brainwashed, or the reason we have all of this resistance in sides, is because it's the only way to create in a um, more powerful way. Um, so, like a black hole, we are the gravity. We take the traumas, we take all the experiences, we take the emotion, and we house it until we are ready, which is a physiological event. It's a willingness, because the free will, freedom, free dome. When you become free in the dome, okay, it opens, and then you are able to see without and beyond words, between the lines, and the dual mission. So, for instance, on a baseball team, okay, leading off, my job was first and foremost to get on base. So the expectation was for me to do that. So I did everything I could do to get on. And I was very, very good at it. Very good at the fundamentals. The baseball IQ was just understanding what the game is about, the roles between all positions, utilizing my strengths, cultivating my weaknesses, the reliance or religion on, let's say, a middle infielder. We got to roll a double play. So if we roll a double play, we got to be on the same page. Okay. So leading off, there's one person, verse 9. Okay, the battery, the pitcher, and the catcher. Okay, throwing a baseball about average of 90 miles an hour, 369, 90 feet, 60 feet, 6 inches. Home plate is five-sided. Okay, you hit a home run around 4, the stability of the diamond. A diamond is a girl's best friend, because it is the feminine, not the female, the feminine, which is the compassion, the heart in every one of us. But we start as female or male from either side to experience the um, the breathing out and in, coming together and then breaking apart. This is what ascends us from the mind internally. Everything is flipped upside down and inverted, goes down, and the heart can then lead, because the heart needs to be understood. The heart needs to be in a position where it can be heard. Intuition, creativity. The yellow belly coward, right? The opposite is that's where you build the strength. So everybody's addicted to not feeling pain, but the ones that are the most authentic are literally, paradoxically, the ones that are um, utilizing substance to create substance. The judgment is what is being um, ripped out, is what is being uncovered, is what is being unveiled. The judgments, sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? All the religious side, and then which is the past and the future. So tomorrow, the belief in something non-existent is what creates existence. It creates the reverberation or the vibration in order for us to raise our frequency, which just means the frequency in which you are looking for that you do not know, rather than the opinions, which is said are like assholes and they all stink, right? There's a reason that's the outro, okay? And that is something that is automatic, whereas we choose, right, with the free will. The free will is a trigger or a light switch. Tesla and Edison, direct current, alternating current, AC, A, 45-degree angle, has the blockage to the upper mind. The mind has to get down into the body. D is the forward movement, the direct in, housing, hoarding, farming, and then the reaper harvests the um, the energy. So the earth, when an object tries to enter the atmosphere, precisely gives us exactly what it looks like and feels like when a human body, when all bodies connect and you go through hell, because that's when the energy's friction, it becomes at max. This is why our bodies die, because we get too far from the cohesion of mind. The mind, free will, the ego becomes too reliant on external and not listening to the body, the heart, listening to, because the body doesn't need circumstance, the body doesn't need consumption. It just needs to, paradoxically, ironically, be left alone to do what it does naturally. So when you look at like different superheroes like Wolverine, self-healing and all of this, this comes from why is he the way he is with his attitude, and then he gets the adamantium on his bones, and what was said, it was going to be the most painful thing any human has to go through. Well, that's exactly what awakening, that's exactly what it feels like to go through. The longer, this is what the ancestral curse, breaking the ancestral curse stuff is. Okay, so how is this done in a more cohesive way in which it can be right? We have to fail and fail and fail and damage and destroy and do all of this until we find the way that works. And that's where we are at within humanity. So all have participated. Every breath ever taken gets credit for wherever an individual goes, because without their courage to experience, to forgive is divine, to experience is courageous, to err is to live, to be human. So much of what has always been going on is we're looking to try to find our divinity, turn it around, find your humanity. How do you do that? You look, the only, it's very simple. The meek will inherit the earth. The meek means simple. Keep it simple and just understand, for instance, um, we are all in the tradition like that practice or participate in Christmas, in cutting down the tree, taking all of the stress and pouring it out, opposite of what the essence of what it's trying to tell us, right? Which takes time. So it's been trying to tell us. It doesn't mean that we're late. Timing happens when all the body, like there's a communication, a cohesion, um, a comprehension, a coherency between mind and body. The World War III is mind and body. Mind and body. The heart is broken between the two. So all the heart wants, doesn't care what's ever been done, what you've ever done, or even what you know. It cares what you don't, and paying attention to her, heart, um, which is the heart of darkness, right? The darkness is what we need to seek if we are claiming, which we are, we're both dark and both light. The only sides are in and out. Organic skin. The natural world is inside, which then reflects our inside world, reflects in everything that we see. Everything I see was created by me, co created. So, what we know as humans is codependency. But that codependency just needs to be reframed, because we always have to work together. That's not going to change, ever. It's the fundamental communication. There is a need. So, another man's trash is another man's treasure. The experiences and how our perspective has been developed and how we got through, persevered, inspired, we're inspired to get through. Um, in ways just like the Wright brothers created, the plane. Um, we don't fly that plane. We don't drive the first cars. It's the same thing with the human bias. The same thing with the mission. So as going through playing baseball, I had to be alone, right, to get up there and take 90, 95-mile-an-hour fastballs off my body, and then go to first base and generally steal second. That's the other thing, is it's stealing, sacrifice, pain, focus. We practice. During practice is when we think. When we're in the game and playing, there is no thinking. It's just a flow. It's a zone. When you get into that zone, that is when the mind takes a back seat and the whole body comes in. The heart takes over and then delegates all bodies in optimizing to maximum efficiency. I literally hit a home run, not even seeing the ball off in college, after a kid had asked me, did anybody hit a home run today yet? I was on deck. I said, I'll hit one for you. First pitch off our number one pitcher. I was like 92. I never saw it. I saw it out of his hand, a little bit of the trajectory. I felt barrel, and it went over the center field fence. That is what faith is, but it's not in the traditional sense of how faith has been defined or illustrated. That is a demonstration of faith, but it takes the commitment to honesty, takes commitment to our compassion, communicating our passion, not doing everything we do not want to do for every reason every one of us have been victims of, right? We're victims of our own creation. What am I saying? We're victims because we are here with the honor of being at the cutting edge, at the forefront, the leading edge of creation. Non-existence, creating existence. And it goes through our free will. Okay? Our freedom. We learn. We are learning. We are students. So when you have a perspective, when I'm speaking to anybody, this is our equality, okay? So while I got on first base, I expected the guys behind me, to now pick me up and get me the rest of the way home, right? So as a hitter, you're in there alone. Yet you are still cultivating everything about yourself to become as good as you can be, first and foremost. Then that is what benefits the entire team. Then that is when you can all celebrate together. And when you go through those types of scenarios like we did, starting at 14, it cultivates a relationship through the experience, through the demonstration, that nobody can take from you. This is why high school is always, always said, those are your best times, and then college, and then you get out and then everything sucks. Well, this is why. It doesn't have to be. And yet, I fully understand why it's not done, because I've gone through it now. I know what it takes. But at the same time, just like getting, I needed to score so we could tie or win, I went through that same thing to now be able to bring it back to the rest of my life and going through in the communication. So what that means is, that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that becoming the example, showing the demonstration, meaning if I'm having a communication, I'm not looking to tell you what I know. I'm looking to show or demonstrate a context that is resonant. Then from that resonance, I get to learn from you. Just like if I'm on first, I need them to get me around. We have to learn first to trust ourselves by cultivating our strengths, finding our weaknesses, growing them, okay? Bringing our energy back from Father Time is tomorrow, aka tomorrow, okay? That's Father Time, our belief in tomorrow, but it's necessary. Religion is the relying on each other just like a team, but done in the exact opposite or negative polarity. Okay? It's showing the opposite of what community, neighbors, family, friends, humanity, just respect. Um, but you can't respect anybody else until you learn to only respect their decisions. You disrespect yourself anytime we are on the, on the victim mentality mindset in which we are blaming somebody else for doing exactly what you don't remember, we don't remember on purpose. Because if we did, we probably wouldn't be here. That's part, it's part of the necessary, just like you're not gonna, you know, not gonna jump in a plane with no engines and then fly, get rolled off a cliff, right? So in that same way, it's one of the components and requirements in order for us to be able to be here. So lots of people, I've heard a lot of people going on and on about, um, it's a slave planet and all of this stuff. Well, here's how slaves are made in such ways. Um, it's in the allowance of our what we call subconscious or intuition moving us in a direction that we need to go, in which what happens never matters, only how we respond, if we're growing and cultivating the ability to respond, or we're reacting, or just reacting, and then that is what sends us down into greater gravity and density. It hoards. So every one of us that we have blamed on, like energy vampires and all, we've all been that. We literally have to be that. Um, the whole zombie apocalypse, all the like whatever 10 years, The Walking Dead, going through all that. Those are all warnings or reflections, reverberations as to what the collective society is moving towards. But at the same time, in the way that a zombie just feeds off brains, right? And has no like communication with the body whatsoever. It's just on one mission, one journey to go and, whatever, angels, demons, light, dark, Republican, Democrat, whatever, all of it, from race to ethnicity to all of it is exactly what the zombie represents in a glorified or an exaggerated way. But is it exaggerated? What do we do to each other, right? And it's not about it's not about hanging out there. It's addressing what do we, so we have to do something about it. The more and more we just talk, it's not about opening up a conversation or opinions or, what's going on all over right now. Has been for a long time now. But I'm talking about to the levels of absurdity, just atrocious behaviors and just do or die denial of just plain as day, and then slithering out of all of the things that you back. Just own your shit, own and move on. Like, there's nothing you can argue for, especially if, as long as it's 20 minutes. There's nothing you can argue for or against when you're not willing to ever admit a retraction or that's literally what you're here for. So think about this from a perspective of, say, an all-knowing, but from using a human personification. So if we're all walking around trying to be fit in, trying to be the one who is provided the artificial or the fool's gold attention, which means that you want to be a teacher. Like you want to be. That's not respect. um, the things that we go through and memorize, that there is a respect in that. It's just we are going so far the other way now that now we're just flipping the script again and doing the same thing to those people, whatever, just that group of superficial intelligence, or let's say book smarts. Nothing I'm saying is meant to put anybody down. I'm in the same boat as every single one. That's the point of equality. Now, how that's received, I honestly don't give a fuck anymore. Not because I don't want to win with my team, the human race. It's because there is nothing I can do about how trying to force somebody else to see or to learn or to move is a violation of the free will. And the violation of the free will is what the brain degenerates. This is what schizophrenia, spiritual psychosis, you have to be able to get through in a balancing act of being able to be wrong. When you're humiliated, when you're picked on, when you're bullied, when you're betrayed, when you're all of these things, the irony is that is the body's treasure. The mind needs to get out of the way and let the body feel and get rid of all the toxicity, which is just meaning that the molecular structure, the cellular memory banks are full and ready to explode nuclear warheads. And once you're able to open your mind and start to see how it works, this is why there's been the free energy, or you can run your car on hydro and all this stuff, right? But that's why, like Rome, get the power of the people. Power of the people. It hasn't never changed. The people that will not adjust their zombified opinions and get into perspective because it's painful. They have to accept themselves as the judge, because the left side is fear, the right side is the judge. The judge sparks the fear, and the fear gets back to the judge by becoming strong. The strength then becomes able to recognize the patterns and see through bullshit, and then becomes a discernment. That can't be done by anybody else. That cannot be done by an external force. You are that force. You are that gatekeeper. You are that free will. You are that universal authority. And it's a lot to take. I understand. And a lot of what is going on now too. Now, I mean, every single thing makes perfect sense now. It's just a matter of there has to be a cultivating of a community that can then grow based upon going through, breaking down the walls we've created so that we can get out into the open and free range. And that I couldn't win a baseball game on my own. I could have had a career. I could have, just went, but that would not have gotten me the necessary experience, the necessary pain, the necessary letting go of, because that was my entire identity, the whole identity, just baseball player. That was it. And that is good and all, but when that ends, it's not about whether or not it ends. It's about if it ends. How will you respond or will you react? For me, I spent, almost 20 years an absolute addict, epic, alcoholic, and everything. Just couldn't rate, but all of that stuff is just a testament, I know now, to what I was, we've all been, let's say, practicing or training to get where we are now. And not a single one of you or anybody is, by any stretch of the imagination, even a coward, to be honest, or a, you know, yeah, I'm gonna end it here.